All right, Dogs by Nature, Rufio here. Today we're looking at Steve Wilks and his kind of evolution of the fire zone blitz. So here we're in a game with the Cardinals defense. Wilks is coaching the Cardinals. This is last year, 2018 season. The Cardinals are down. We're heading sort of nearing the end of the second quarter. It's a 3rd and 9, but this is a great chance for the Cardinals to get the ball back for their offense, maybe put up a touchdown, get within 4 by halftime. One score, make it a one-score game. So we can also see it's a 3rd and 9, and it's a 3rd and 9 from the Seahawks' own 13, 14-yard line here. So this is a perfect time to dial up a blitz. Hopefully either force a quick throw where the Seahawks can't get this first down, or better yet, pick up a sack or a throwaway and put them really backed up, punting out of their own end zone. All right, so this zone blitz is almost the same one I broke down in my previous article. If you haven't read it yet, go to dogsbynature.com. That's DAWGS by nature.com. If you search for Fire Zone Blitz, should come up pretty quick for you in those search results. But this Fire Zone Blitz is going to involve a 3 deep, 3 underneath coverage. And it's going to be what we call the NCAA Blitz or America's Blitz. And what that's going to involve is 3 linemen slanting away from the blitz, and then the blitz coming from the strong side, typically the strong side, 2 players kind of off the edge. First one off the very edge, and the second one from kind of either a Mike linebacker position or somewhere kind of inside behind the line who's going to wrap around a player who's slanting to the inside. Now, this particular blitz by Steve Wilks is very well disguised. First of all, because the coverage looks like it could be a man-to-man coverage here. So we see that the Seahawks have 5 eligible. We could have off coverage on the receivers here outside with the corners. We could have a rolled up press coverage on the slot receiver here. And then for the tight end and the running back, we have players lined up pretty much directly over them. And these players are in positions off the line of scrimmage. For instance, if the back were to go to the strong side of the play here, this linebacker is far enough behind his lineman that he could get over there to follow him. Now, this is not going to be man-to-man coverage. It is going to be a 3 deep, 3 underneath fire zone blitz. So we're going to have our corners and our middle of the field safety are going to be dropping to the deep zones. And then we're actually going to see the blitz come off of this strong side, and we're going to see that rotation from the weak side into the underneath zones. So as I roll this forward, again at the snap, we are going to see the strong side blitz, and then 1, 2, 3 underneath players in zone. Now, these underneath players, the outside 2 players, are what we call the seam, skiff, or bronco players. They're primarily concerned with number 2. And by that I mean the second wide receiver in from the outside of the formation. So that's going to be a slot in this case. And they're primarily concerned with him going into the seam, running kind of straight down the field, maybe between the numbers and the hashes, and defending that area first. So as we go, sure enough, that slot receiver is running into that threatening seam area, and our Bronco player runs directly to him to cover him up. On the other side of the screen, we have a player who's weaker in coverage. I believe this is Chandler Jones, primarily a pass rusher for the Cardinals, but he actually doesn't have a number 2 receiver to his side of the field who can threaten the seam immediately. You know, this running back maybe could, but he'd kind of have to run like around the line and get there, and it'd be a step or 2 later. So that player to that side of the field doesn't have to worry about that threat and can kind of turn and kind of read the quarterback's eyes a little bit more. Our inside player is the 3rd receiver or the hook player, and since the Seahawks keep 2 players in here to block, he doesn't really have a number 3. You can see there's maximum 2 receivers to one side of the formation. So again, he's just kind of hooking up in the middle here, reading the quarterback's eyes and trying to break on the ball. So if we go to the end zone angle here real quick. Okay. So we're in the end zone angle here, and this is going to give us a great idea of how the blitz is going to actually break down. We see one thing that gives our blitz away is actually number 20 here, Buchanan, on the hard count. Starts to get antsy and goes to jump into his responsibility. And he knows he has to get all the way from this A-gap here out to that slot receiver in the seam, which, to be fair, is a lot of ground to cover. You can see in this blitz, the Seahawks' pass protection is, I believe it's going to be a half slide. Could be a full slide here. Almost results in exactly the same thing. But this side of the line, left side of their line, right side for us, are going to slide. Slide to defense's right, offense's left. So you see on the snap here, the center is going to get the A gap to his side, guard the B gap to his side, and the tackle's getting the C gap to his side as well. To the other side of the formation, we could have big on big protection, which means that the offensive lineman block the defensive lineman. But in this case, that's almost exactly the same thing as a full slide. So this guard sliding here and the tackle sliding inside, because both of these defensive players are going to slant that way. So on the snap, sure enough, you see that. We pick it up, and we're bringing both the tight end and the running back to the strong side of the formation, away from the slide, to kind of pick up anyone coming off the edge. Now with the zone blitz, you want to do a couple of things. The first thing, and something that the Cardinals do here, is that they trap offensive linemen with no one to block. And this is tremendous for the defense, because your offensive linemen are your best pass protectors. Specifically, your center here is going to be a very good pass protector, and he has no one to pick up. So you're asking the weaker players, the weaker blockers on the other team, to block the people that you want to rush. And that's a great matchup for the defense. Another thing as a defense that you want to do is that you want to create difficult blocking angles for those linemen. So, and not only the linemen, but really anyone in the protection scheme. So here, one of those difficult angles is going to come from the back. Now that back has to read out on the far side of the formation, so he has to cross the quarterback, and he's going to have to move. And then if anyone is blitzing, he's got to hit a moving target, and that moving target is going to have a full head of steam. In this case, all that action in front of him causes him to lose sight momentarily of Bethea here, who is actually a safety, who's blitzing from kind of a linebacker, rolled up safety kind of position. So you can see that running back sees 36 coming off the edge, but because 41 here is hidden behind, 1,200 pounds of human being, the running back loses him for a split second. And that's really all it takes to create this favorable angle for the rusher to get in there. And you can see that running back overruns his responsibility, has to kind of redirect inside, and by the time he does that, it's simply too late. Bethea has a full head of steam, and this running back isn't going to be like a 300-pound lineman who can just sit there and kind of anchor somebody who's coming at him with that much speed. Sure enough, the running back gets run over, Bethea gets a sack, and the Cardinals pin the Seahawks back at their own 5-yard line, fourth and forever, and they're going to get the ball back with a chance to get this thing to one score before halftime. Now, your previous play was kind of your traditional fire zone blitz that you see from Steve Wilks. And again, that's going to be a 3 deep, 3 underneath coverage with 5 men rushing. And one of the great things about that is it plays off of his normal sort of cover 3 zone, right? You have 3 deep just as you would in cover 3. You have the same kind of seam or Bronco player on the outside of that underneath coverage. And then you have your third receiver hook player in the middle who's playing essentially the same role as they would in normal cover 3. Now, your only difference, obviously, is you're blitzing an additional player, so we lose the second hook player underneath, and that is the difference in the coverage, but everything else is very similar. So once you've taught your defense one of those things, you've essentially taught them 2 things, and that means the more time you spend practicing those positions, you're getting a bigger payoff for that in the game. Well, this is great, but if it only works with cover 3, it's not as efficient as it could be. And one of the great things that I see from Steve Wilks on film is that he is adapting different types of coverages behind his zone blitzes. So another coverage we're going to see from Steve Wilks, a decent amount, is going to be what's called a quarters coverage. Different teams play this differently, but Wilks' brand involves pretty much 4 players. They are responsible for the 4 kind of deep quarters across the field. Now, there are different rules and things that you can do with pattern matching to match up a little bit tighter. I think Wilks uses them at times. But with quarters, typically you have 3 underneath players, almost, again, exactly as you would in a typical fire zone blitz. So you have 2 players essentially playing that kind of seam or Bronco player, and you have 1 player playing the third receiver hook in the middle. But this shell, if you're only using a 3 deep 3 underneath fire zone, this kind of cover 4 or quarters shell gets kind of wasted, right? You're only using it when you play quarters. Well, this is a zone blitz that we're seeing from Steve Wilks where it looks initially like it's going to be a 3 deep coverage, but we roll before the snap into a 4 deep coverage. And this is a zone blitz. You'll see these two players here coming on the blitz and this player dropping. And it's a 4 deep 2 underneath fire zone. And what that allows Steve Wilks to do is to mix up the coverages that are coming behind these zone blitzes to give the offense a different look. Now, in this case, the 49ers are reasonably well prepared for this blitz. We get 2 off the right edge here who are coming free, but the Niners have a really quick screen on, and they're hoping to just basically get the ball out before the rush comes, and they do. But great thing here is that this player who is playing kind of that seam role is able to just defeat his block, get there before the linemen get there, and make a tackle on the play, and keep it to a short gain. All right, so the last blitz I have today is another zone blitz. You can see the Cardinals are down 10-15. There are just under 3 minutes to go in this game. We are deep in the fourth quarter here, and it is a 3rd and 5. So if the Cardinals can get the 49ers off the field here, they give their offense a chance to get rolling, have the 2-minute warning, have a couple of timeouts left, and be able to win this game, essentially. This is a huge play. So when the Cardinals break the huddle, they come out. They're in that same 4 deep shell. This could be another 4 deep, 2 underneath fire zone. But before the snap, as we get this motion, we're going to see that safety roll all the way up. And now the Cardinals are showing an all-out blitz. They're showing an 8-man blitz here with everyone packed up against the line of scrimmage. The 49ers are going to have 4 out into this route. So tight end, 2 wide outs to the bottom of the screen, 1 wide out to the top. And so the quarterback knows we don't have anywhere close to the amount of people that we need to be able to block all 8 of these guys. So immediately the quarterback is thinking, I have to get the ball out quick. This ends up being a 3 deep and actually 2 underneath fire zone. And that's kind of the next evolution of the fire zone, in my opinion. First time I've ever seen this was from Pat Narduzzi when he was the defensive coordinator at Michigan State. I really believe he pioneered these 3 deep, 2 underneath fire zone blitzes there, wanting to turn up the aggressiveness just a notch from your traditional fire zone, but still play this kind of safer zone coverage behind it, right? If somebody falls down or gets stiff-armed to the ground, you don't end up with a receiver running all the way into the end zone. But the way the 3 deep, 2 underneath fire zone works, you got your 3 deep playing pretty much the same as they typically would, but your 2 underneath coverage guys are really just reading for a hot route. You are really trusting as a defense in this when you're sending 6 after the quarterback, especially when you're kind of acting like you're sending all 8. You're really trusting that you're going to get somebody free to the quarterback and that he's not going to have a lot of time to hold on to the ball. So your 2 underneath zone defenders in this coverage are really just reading a hot route. And so what that means, again, I talked about the quarterback here knowing he has to get rid of this ball quickly. Well, essentially what you're doing is you're looking for that receiver who's going to get open quickly, who that receiver or that quarterback wants to dump the ball off to. So you're going to see here one of these linebackers pop out right away. And as he takes a step forward, pops out of the blitz, turns his eyes to the receivers, he can see who's coming at him, who's breaking quickly, and he knows essentially where he has to go to try to disrupt a pass headed to that guy. So as we roll forward, you can see that same linebacker runs right past the receiver, right? He leaves the guy wide open in the middle of the field, and if this were completed, it would be disastrous for Arizona. But he knows that he doesn't have to cover that guy for too long. He only has to cover him immediately right here because that ball has got to come out. And sure enough, we look at the quarterback, he's getting hit the moment that linebacker arrives at his correct destination. So moving to the end zone a little bit, we get a different view of this blitz. We are going to see 6 come after the quarterback. The 49ers here are in half slide protection. What that means, the left side of the line, again, is sliding. So left tackle's taking this C gap outside, guard is taking the B gap, and the center's taking the A gap here. On the right side of the line, they are in big-on-big protections. 68 has this down lineman, 69 has this down lineman, and they're essentially going to lock in man-to-man on those two rushers. Now the fullback here is the one that's in conflict. The fullback is going to go opposite the slotted lineman, and he has to pick up everyone from the center's right on over. He has to pick up any linebacker or cornerback or safety or anybody blitzing through on that side, because again, his down linemen are only blocking the down linemen across from them. So as we can see on the snap, that fullback sure enough blocks the linebacker, and then off the edge we have a free rusher in the slot corner. We can also see that linebacker popping out of the blitz, taking that look at the receivers, and then getting in that place just to disrupt the pass until his free blitzer can get home. Now in this, you may say, where's the second underneath zone player? It is actually this defensive end right here. He engages that tackle to make sure he blocks him, to make sure we get this edge rusher free. And then he's actually trying to pull away, if you can see, and get back into coverage, but that lineman holds him and doesn't let him drop as quickly as he would have. So it could have been a flag there. Another thing we see on this play is the fullback comes up into the line. That fullback, again, has a disadvantageous blocking angle. The rusher has a full head of steam. Fullback has to step up into the hole and meet him there. And it's just hard to hit somebody and block somebody who's got that kind of lead. And so the fullback here very obviously, puts arm around the waist and turns that linebacker. Very clearly should have been a holding call. But that's the kind of pressure you're putting on the offense by sending these types of blitzes after them. Right? You're going to make people come from weird angles to try to make blocks, and it's just very difficult to hit those moving targets. All right, so thanks for tuning in, everybody. Again, this is just Steve Wilks and the evolution of the fire zone blitz into various coverages behind the zone blitz, something I'm very excited to see next year, especially, if we can put some teams in these third and long situations. Hopefully we can get some sacks just like this, get some free edge rushers, and get off the field, win some games. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll see you next time.